All right, guys. So, first lesson for during Christmas break. It's Monday morning. We're going to talk about a group called the Warhawks today. Before we get to them, we're going to talk about some other things. So, this picture right here, you guys should recognize. It's one of your vocabulary words for the quiz that you're supposed to be taking this week. All right, remember, 7-word vocabulary quiz. This word right here, if you're looking at this picture, you should know that this is the word impressment or impress. They're tying up sailors on board ships. The way you know it's impressment is if you look in the background, you see guys in uniforms. These aren't just regular sailors. They are uniformed men. These guys are being taken hostage. And so, they're not exactly happy about it. This is impressment. In the Mediterranean, pirates from the Barbary Coast were demanding tribute from America, just in order to be involved in trade in the Mediterranean Sea. So this area right here is the Barbary Coast. Any boats that sailed in the Mediterranean Sea were demanded to pay tribute, demanded to pay a special tax just in order to trade. And Thomas Jefferson decides we're not going to pay it anymore. George Washington paid it. John Adams paid it. Thomas Jefferson says that we're not. As a result, Tripoli, the country of Tripoli right here, declares war on the United States, and they capture a ship called the USS Philadelphia. USS stands for United States Ship. They take the crew hostage. In 1804, in order to make sure that the Philadelphia couldn't be used by our enemy, couldn't be used by the Barbary Coast, a ship called the USS Constitution goes in and destroys it. They attack the capital city of Tripoli, which is Tripoli. The city is called Tripoli, the country is called Tripoli. The U.S. Marines were also sent in to attack, and they returned the hostages from the Philadelphia. We free them from being captured. A treaty was then signed with Tripoli, but the rest of the Barbary Coast pirates remain a problem until 1818. Britain presents another problem for America. See, we are trying to stay at peace with Britain, with France, with Spain. The problem is there is an event called the Napoleonic Wars. All of Europe is pretty much involved. You've got the red countries, which are Britain, and then you've got the blue and purple countries, which are France or allies of France. Or they've actually been captured by France. Because of this, both nations try and cut off trade. France is trying to stop us from trading with Britain. Britain's trying to stop us from trading with France. Britain begins to capture American ships that are trying to send goods to France. They begin to impress American sailors again. The United States, to protect our sailors, passes a law making it illegal to trade with any foreign nation. But the law is quickly changed with the Embargo Act. The word embargo means to not trade with. And in this Embargo Act, we say that we will only trade with one country. Whoever recognizes our neutrality first, we will trade with them. Very quickly, France recognizes our neutrality. This picture right here is kind of what you got going on with the Embargo Act. All right, so a couple of things to look at first. You got a turtle. Now we'll talk about the turtle in a second. You got this guy up here. This guy represents Thomas Jefferson. A sailor says superfine on the cargo, so it's probably some like superfine rice or something like that. He says, this is darn, D space N. It's got to be darn, right? Darn it. How he nicks 'em. Nicks means bite. Then it says, oh, this cursed, oh, grab me. So he's calling the turtle the oh, grab me. Now there is a reason for that. Here's kind of how it works. Okay, and it's not wanting to write right now. Oh, okay. Well, looks like I'm not getting cooperation from the smart board. There we go. Whatever. Okay. So, let's try something else. Never mind. All right, so if you look at the word "oh grab me," it is embargo spelled backwards. That's why they're calling the turtle the "oh grab me." So Thomas Jefferson is upset that the embargo is hurting American sailors. Now, the way that it's hurting American sailors, we aren't allowed to trade. Britain was our biggest trading partner, and we have just cut off trade with Britain. The purpose of the Embargo Act was to help American sailors. However, the impact is devastating to the United States. Exports fall from $108 million in 1807 to $22 million in 1808. 1 year, we just lost over $80 million. Imports declined from $138 million to $57 million. And in that same period, and during the embargo, 55,000 sailors and 100,000 laborers lost their jobs in the United States. So it is a crushing impact to American economy. Custom revenues dropped from 16 million to almost nothing. As a result of this, protests start in the New England area because they make their money off of shipping. In addition to the Embargo Act, it was created by the Republicans. So the Federalists are looking at this as a chance to crush the Democratic Republicans and get them removed from power. This political cartoon right here kind of shows what they have going on. In this political cartoon, you've got Thomas Jefferson. He says, "Citizens, I am sorry. I cannot call you my lords and gentlemen. This is a grand philosophical idea." That means it's just a experiment. Let's see. "Shutting our ports against the English. If we can continue this experiment for about 15 or 20 years, we may begin to then feel its benefit or its good. All right, good effects." So what this is saying is that Thomas Jefferson is just playing with America's economy, and it may crush us completely. Over here, you've got Napoleon Bonaparte. He's whispering, "You shall be king hereafter," to Thomas Jefferson, implying the fact that Napoleon is trying to bribe Thomas Jefferson to helping him in the war, even though it's crushing our country. You got all sorts of Americans over here complaining. This one says, "My family is starving." It says, "My warehouses are full." You never want your warehouses to be full because that means you can't sell everything. One of these say, "My goods are spoiling," right here. So they are complaining about all of this stuff. The bottom, you have two titles. One says, "The Happy Effects of the Grand System," and the other one says, "Shutting the ports against the English." All right, so it's really crushing America's economy. But Thomas Jefferson isn't stupid. He realizes what's going on. So, it's not letting me. There we go. Let's see if I can use the mouse and do this. So this is what ends up happening. It says the death of the Terrapin, or the embargo. Remember, this is the "oh grab me," the embargo. Thomas Jefferson's cutting the head off of it. He is killing the Embargo Act because he realizes it's not really doing any good. Back in the United States, Thomas Jefferson is reelected president because he took such quick action against the Embargo Act. Aaron Burr is not renominated for vice president. He wasn't exactly a good fit with Thomas Jefferson. Burr then runs for governor of New York, loses, and blames it on lies spread by Alexander Hamilton. Aaron Burr writes letters to Hamilton demanding that he takes it back. Alexander Hamilton refuses. He ignores Burr, so Burr challenges him to a duel. Hamilton stupidly accepts. If you've seen the musical Hamilton, he aims his gun in the air, fires his gun, and Aaron Burr kills him. He dies actually the next day. In America, Britain was trying to contain westward expansion to protect their trade interests. Britain doesn't want to go with the United States or go to war with the United States, though, so they keep giving weapons to the natives. The natives were led by Tecumseh and his brother, who united the Indian nations called the Prophet. William Henry Harrison was the governor of the Indiana Territory. He goes to war with Tecumseh. He spoke with Tecumseh to try and make peace. Harrison gives him some advice. He says that the natives won't be able to resist the power of the United States. Tecumseh heads south to convince the Creek Indians in Georgia to join up with the cause. While he is there, he leaves his brother, the Prophet, in charge. Now, just so you guys can see right here, remember, this is on the South Carolina state flag. It's not a crescent on our flag. It's a gorget. It's a piece of armor. It was a symbol of wealth, so that shows he was really wealthy. Well, Harrison tricks Tecumseh's brother, the Prophet, into starting a battle. He provokes him into a battle. The Battle of Tippecanoe. The battle lasts all day, but Harrison's forces destroy Tecumseh, so that makes Harrison a war hero. Remember, 3 jobs to make you president. War hero, vice president, secretary of state. William Henry Harrison, good chance he'll become president one day. Not for long, but he will become one. This battle cost Tecumseh all of the support that he had. Many in the United States blame the problems with the natives on the British, accusing them of provoking the natives into attacking us. If you look at this picture right here, the natives are scalping American soldiers and then selling the scalps to the British. So we really do blame them for our problems. A group called the Warhawks were led by a man named John C. Calhoun. He's from South Carolina. If any one person can be blamed for the Civil War, John C. Calhoun is that man. And then Henry Clay of Kentucky. Henry Clay will be the guy who pretty much delays the Civil War. He makes all sorts of compromises to prevent the war, and he causes the war. So these two guys are actually teamed up right now. They are the leaders of the Warhawks. They believe the only way to end our problems with Britain is to go to war. James Madison will eventually become president after Thomas Jefferson leaves office. He's the 4th president. On June 1st, 1812, he speaks to Congress and asks Congress to declare war with Britain. This starts the War of 1812. According to legend, the Warhawks dance up and down the aisleways of Congress because they are so happy that the War of 1812 has begun. All right, so your guys' essential question. How did the events of the American Revolution lead to the War of 1812? Well, you got to think about it. We're allied with France. Britain has broken off trade with us. We are in that tight struggle of how to get along with them. The Napoleonic Wars start. Trade is interrupted. And Britain is causing problems with the natives because we keep moving west. Britain is impressing our sailors. Eventually, America is going to strike back. So make sure you guys are using evidence to answer your questions. Say what. Give specific examples of what was done that causes this war. You guys will have another lesson coming up on video soon. See you guys then. Have a good Thanksgiving.